Hi there, welcome to the YouTube channel. Before I go any further, please go down below and hit the subscribe button. I'd really appreciate it if you could. I'm trying to get my numbers up a little bit, so every subscription helps. So thanks for going and doing that. Now you've done it. So today's deck take is probably something you expected to see soon. It's still one of the Dominuses. If we're still in Phyrexia, all will be one world. I'm still building the decks through it and going through how I'll play the decks. Yeah, and people seem to be watching them, kind of. So today's one is one of the Dominuses. You've probably all seen that by the video title, so sorry. But anyway, it is Tekuthal Inquiry Dominus. 2 in double blue for a 3/5 flying Phyrexian horror. And with the ability that whenever you proliferate twice instead. And then it's got the usual clause for making it indestructible. 1 and 2 Phyrexian blue, so 4 life, 2 blue mana, whichever way you want to do it, or any combination thereof. Remove 3 counters from among other artifacts, creatures, and planeswalkers you control, and you get an indestructible counter on them. Yeah, okay then, cope with that plan. But what are we going to do with the deck? Well, the deck itself looks like this. And there's a few things you're probably wondering, what is that doing in a mono blue deck? Well, I'm hopefully going to explain it. So what I want to try and do is take advantage of the proliferate thing. So we've got planeswalkers and we've got other things we can proliferate. I'll get to them in a minute. But one of the things I am interested in doing, especially with Tekuthal, is trying to get a +1/+1 counter on the few creatures that we have, and then start proliferating and building things up that way. So to do that, I've actually gone back to Strixhaven and grabbed Hall of Oracles into the deck. Because we have got a lot of instants and a lot of sorceries in the deck, being able to cast one then activate the Hall of Oracles to chuck a +1/+1 counter on a creature we control is really quite easy. And then with the amount of proliferation we've got, making that creature massive, hard to kill is there, and it's doable, and it's quite happy from my point of view. Thank you very much. The other thing I'll point out with this one, I've actually gone with a whole load of gates in this deck. And the reason I've gone with the gates is purely because we've got Basilisk Gate in here. And I think, because we've only got 10 creatures in the whole deck, we do need to find a way of winning. And that way, to my mind, is to make the creatures as big as possible. Hopefully we'll get tech in and do it that way with commander damage. So if we can make sure we hit the commander damage, that means making sure we've got enough gates in play to give that nice little bonus each turn. So that's why they're here. We've got another thing, Baldur's Gate helps with the mana ramp as well. I've got Field of the Dead, Fabled Passage. I've got the rest of the usual suspects that you would have seen in my other videos are around, but there's a lot of gates. The other card I'll point out is Khan's Bastion. Colourless mana adding, yeah, okay. But full tap proliferate. Yes, thank you, go with that. The other one, Nixos is here. We do have a lot of blue permanents in the deck, so this will hopefully get us there as well with the mana ramp that we need. Plaza of Harmony seems like an easy inclusion with the amount of gates just to gain that 3 life. And our gates can produce mana. Gateway Plaza's in here, so it does produces blue mana when we need it to. So hopefully it'll work. Reliquary Tower, Temple of the False God are here as well. Remote Isle is also in just for a little bit of cycling if we need it to. And then along with Desert of the Mindful, again cycling, just a bit of fancy card draw that can't be usually stopped. Castle of Interest just to manipulate the top of our library. And then it's the rest of the ramp really. I've kept it fairly straightforward. Mox Tantalite, Soul Talisman, Soul Ring, Arcane Signet. That's the starting point of Sky Diamond, but there's a couple of things worth pointing out. Obviously we want to just get Everflowing Chalice out with 1 mana counter on it. Well, 1 charge counter on it, I should say. And then because of the amount of proliferation we'll be doing, we'll be able to get more on it. Likewise, Replicating Rings in from Kaldheim. 3 mana, taps for any mana of any colour. And at the beginning of your upkeep, you get to put a counter on the Replicating Rings. So as long as you can get it round to your turn again, this starts going very quickly up. Because of the amount of proliferation we can do, getting this up to 8 counters on it and then having those extra 8 rings come into play is really quite straightforward. So bear that in mind. You want to be doing the proliferation on this, but you've got to wait until you've got that first counter on there. Charge counters are no good onto it. They've got to be these special night counters. So wait until you've got it around to your turn again and got one on it. Okay, just bear that in mind. Okay, so the rest of the deck. Brainstorm, Ponder, Preordained, Serum Visions are here. You can replace one of these with Sensei's Divining Top if you'd rather. I didn't bother in my deck, but I know people like playing Sensei's Divining Top in Commander. I find it slows the game down a little bit too much for my liking, but if you want it in, these are one of the cards you drop for it. Elixir of Immortality turns up in most of my Commander decks, I'm aware of that, but this one specifically, because we've got so few creatures and so many other spells, we do need to make sure we get things back into our library if we need to at some stage, and I have got also, that's the reason, Commit to Memories here down the end. Ignore the first part about putting target spell on non-land permanent, second from top. It's the second part, so shuffling it all back in is what we're interested in, so bear that in mind. Going from there, we'll go back. First of the Proliferate cards, Contentious Plan, coming in from War with the Spark. Then Cyclonic Rifts here as well, just to make sure we can control the board a bit. Deliberate to manipulate the top of our library and draw a card. And Experimental Augury. This is one of the cards I do need to get. I'll just point this out now. We've got Isochron Scepter here. There's two cards I want to try and get on it. Either Experimental Augury, so I can just dig through my deck and find what I want, or Serum Snare, so I can basically control what's in play and have the occasional bit of proliferation as things go along. Personally, I prefer Experimental Augury. That seems to work quite well when I've had it happen. But backup plan of Serum Snare is fine. In the middle of the two, search for Scanters here as well. Mono blue deck. Well, any blue deck I think I should be playing this in nowadays, just to make sure I can get what I want. So you'll see it a fair few more times, I'm sure. Thrumming Bird is also in. Get the proliferation on the go with a little bit of creature. Nice target for our +1/+1 counters from the Hall of Oracles, because it can do it itself, or if we need to really punch through, we can do the Basilisk Gate trick on it. So it's a good target. I love the artwork. I love the new artwork, by the way. Much prefer it to the old artwork. Probably my only choice, but I like it. If you don't, sorry, put the old one in if you want to, but I just prefer the new artwork. Counterspell, Mana Drain, just for a little bit of control. Sync that I've mentioned, Contagion class, chucks a +1/+1 counter on the most annoying thing your opponents have got, and then you get to proliferate away with 4 mana, so bear that in mind. Scepter, Sky Diamond I've mentioned. Throne of Geth, I'm trying this out, and I only have one, apart from Heap Gate, which will make us a treasure token whenever we need to, which is quite nice, does help. The only other artifact that I'm looking to sacrifice will be from here. Trail of Evidence produces clue tokens, and since we are casting quite a lot of instants and sorceries, we should have the odd clue token we can chuck on here to proliferate. But end of the day, if we have to sacrifice one of our other things when we don't need it, like maybe Arcane Signet when we've got loads of mana in play, it's a possibility we do it that way, but it's these two I'm looking at doing. Anyway, 3 drops. Flux Channeler, I really expected you to think I'd have in the deck, and it's here. And cast a non-creature spell, proliferate. Fine. 52 non-creature spells. We can do that quite regularly. Ikamoon Gauntlet is a brand new card from Phyrexia, All Will Be One, and it does a great thing for your Planeswalkers. Firstly, 0, proliferate. So it gives all your Planeswalkers an additional ability, and I quite like the design of this card. And then -12, take an extra turn after this one. And whenever you cast a non-creature spell, choose a counter on target permanent, put an additional counter of that kind on that permanent. Now that's not proliferation, it's just a little bit of bonus. So you can go play this, proliferate, cast a non-creature, put another counter on my Planeswalkers. So you still ramp your Planeswalkers up really quickly to get to that -12 for the extra turns. Key card, I think going forward, especially in Super Friends decks, I would recommend, if you haven't got one yet, go and pick one up now in real life as well before they start ticking up in price. I think they're reasonable at the moment, and they're very reasonable on MTGO, but go and grab one if you haven't got one already and put it in your Super Friends deck, or anything where you're playing blue with Planeswalkers. Steady Progress, instant card draw with proliferate. And here comes the first one of the Planeswalkers. Here's Jace Mirror Mage. The Scribe bit's quite nice, and obviously if we can get it kicked as well so we get the copy, even better. Mesmerizing Dose is here just to make sure we can basically tap down the most annoying creature our opponent's got, even if it's just a bird of paradise or something. Once we've got some of the planeswalkers in play, and the extra proliferate's really good. Mirror Maid helps us copy an enchantment or an artifact. From my point of view, it will probably be copying an enchantment, and you'll see which one when we get there. But at a push, you can copy another artifact if you want to. It's not the worst thing in the world to copy a Contagion Engine when we get that far. Replicating Ring I've talked about. Here's the other card I'm expecting you weren't expecting to see. It's the no, it's not the Quidditch Stadium, sorry. It's the Strixhaven Stadium. Tap it, put a point counter on Strixhaven Stadium, and then proliferate your life away. When you get the 10 points on there, remove them all, and an opponent loses a game. End of. It should be pretty straightforward to get 10 counters on here with the proliferation we're doing, so hence why it's here. Speaking of ways of getting proliferation on the go, Sword of Truth and Justice. Put it on a piece, put it on any creature you've got, makes those creatures a little bit bigger. It is you're really going to put it on techie at the end of the day, to make them a 5/7 with protection from white, protection from blue, and then +1/+1 counter, and then you proliferate and they do the double proliferation for you. It's very straightforward. Trail of Evidence I've mentioned due to the clues. Phyrexian Metamorph to copy anything we want. Perfect target. Sword of Truth and Justice, or anything else you want to do, but it's here. Tezzeret's Gamble, draw 2, then proliferate. Learn from the past I've chucked in. It gives us another way of recycling our graveyard. Target player shuffles their graveyard into their library, draw a card. It doesn't give you the 7 cards, doesn't give you any life, but it does give you a quick card draw, so it's worth having in the deck. Spark Double, get to copy whatever you want. Copying techie with Spark Double gets very stupid, because then you proliferate and you're making your copied techie even bigger because of the +1/+1 counter, and you're getting every proliferate turns into 4 proliferates. So it might turn into more than that. I'd need to try it out and see what's happening. So Viral Drake, Infect, not so much the Infect, we're not going down the Infect side of this. What I am trying to go down is the proliferate side, just to make it bigger. Archmage Emeritus, because we are casting so many instants and sorceries, we're going to be able to draw some cards. Jace, just proliferate the counters on Jace, that's all you're doing it for. Mill someone away, if you win that way, that's great. Lithoform Engine is also here. It's another way of copying the instants and sorceries we're casting. It does put their casting costs up by 3, which is fine. But it does, if that means we can get more proliferation on the go, it's all good fun. Moving over, Body Double, just to copy any creature enters the battlefield, any copy of any creature card in a graveyard. So you might be able to go nick someone else's creatures where they've been killed off by friends. The Morari Conjecture, don't proliferate the saga counters on here, just let it tick through, so you get the instant, you get the sorcery. Oh, sorry. And this is the main target for Mirror Maid. Irresistible Tide. Whenever you cast a spell, proliferate, and it just sits there and proliferates all day long. Tamiyo, tap down the most annoying thing you're facing and proliferate your life away until you can do the whole -8 thing, which should be fantastic. Likewise, Tezzeret the Seeker's in here. I've included Tezzeret because we do have quite a few artifacts we'd like to untap. I'm looking at you, Contagion Engine or Contagion Clasp. And at the end of the day, if we need to do a 0 search, we can do, because we've got Mox Tantalite, Soul Talisman, Everflowing Chalice in the game. And we get to put it on the battlefield. Search the library for an artifact card with mana value X or less and put it onto the battlefield. So it's a really good way of cheating these two out as soon as possible. Vivisurgeon's Insight, just a little bit of card draw, some proliferate attached. Next creature, not a great one, but it's from War of the Spark. Kiora's Dambreaker is a battlefield proliferate. Yeah, it's a 5/6 body. You're not going to do a lot with it, but it's another proliferate target. Flood of Tears to control the board. Jace Arcane Strategist, just do the whole card draw. Same with Morkenheim, although this is quite nice. You can proliferate this up if you need to get to the -10, or you can do the -2 thing and just get loads of illusion dogs. Sashkimir's Prodigy's in as well. That stops all the have entered battlefield as a copy of any permanent enter battlefield this turn. So it does give you a way of copying your other stuff. And obviously Teferi's here as well. Untap the permanents. It's nice, proliferate. You can untap everything a few times, especially if you get the -10 off. It's all very good. Contagion Engine I've mentioned. Jinga Taxus, I had a slot left at the end of the deck build, so it went in. Nexus of Fate just takes some extra turns if I need to. Plus it's a nice little way of making sure that everything stays in my library. And Wizard's Spellbook. Exile target instant or sorcery card from a graveyard. From a graveyard. Not your graveyard, any graveyard. So go and get your opponent's ones, nick them. And really hope you hit the 20 at some stage. Treasure Cruise is here. It's not a bad one to exile if you have to be fair. Treasure Cruise is also here, draw the 3 cards. Ugin, really big board control that we want to be doing. Yep. And then finally, last 2, I've already mentioned Commit to Memory. And then we've got Multiple Choice, because I think it's quite funny from Strixhaven, just to see how we're doing with things. And Displacement Wave, return all non-land permanents from mana value X or less to their owner's hands. Gives us a little bit of control. But that's it. That's my take on Tekuthal, Inquiry of Dominus. Let me know in the comments down below what I've missed, what else you think should be in the deck. Hopefully do go and hit that subscribe button. We're trying to build the followers up, so more the merrier. I'm sitting at 124, I think, so I record this one, so yeah, we're getting there. But 876 to go until YouTube do anything for me. But it's the way it goes. So, but hit the subscribe button, help me out, help me get up towards that 1,000, that magic 1,000 number that I need. But that's it for now. I'll see you in the next Deck Tech. Thanks for watching. See you soon. Bye.